Hello, friends. Today's topic is the cost of living in Singapore. Let's rant.
So Singapore is also consistently ranked as one of the most expensive cities in the world. Can you give us some examples of what is considered expensive compared to maybe some other Asian cities? Everything is expensive. Cars, housing, food. I think food is also rising in comparison, I would say in comparison to the Southeast Asia markets around us.
For example, my parents, they will laugh at me when I tell them I have like $8 lattes, for example, which I just did, by the way. Like I just came from a cafe and I had an $8 latte.
Transport. If we were to hail a cab in Singapore in the late mornings of 3 a.m. like that, the transport fee for that would shoot up to 100 Sing dollars.
For me right now, my rent is like 1.8k.
So how big is your house?
My house is only like 2 times 2. Yeah, 3 times 2 maximum, I think. That's my house right now. It's a room, actually. Actually, you have no choice because you have no house, so where are you gonna live, right?
How much do you think you need to make to live comfortably in Singapore without any worries?
I think like at least 7,500.
I would say if that kind that I would probably want to like go out, I can eat whatever I want, spend however I want, probably 20 to 30k a month would be good with every year if you're like rising costs, especially if I want to get a car or if I want to get a house, probably 20 to 30k. Yeah, would be a good range.
If you're in Singapore, if you have a family, probably you need more than like 5k to live here, of course. And if, example, you're just alone like me, I think probably you just need like to live is like around $3,000 is too very much already for you. There's people who have $1,000 and they survive. So we never know. It depends on yourself. So on how you manage that money.
I don't think it's survive $1,000 in Singapore because from what I heard, 1,000 is you can't really pay your expenses and your like rent. Yeah, so you really need like at least 5,000. And if you have a family also, like one of y'all should have like probably $5,000 each. So like both made up to probably like 10,000. Yeah.
This is too broad to say like what's comfortable because more we earn, more we want to like more we spend usually, you know. So if you start earning like 15,000, you start spending more because you start to go to more nicer places. You start buying nicer goods, right? Then suddenly your salary increases to 30k, 50k, you're getting more and more and more. It's like you becoming more hungrier. Well, I mean, that's the driving force of capitalism in the end. If you're like having a family, then you have to send your kids to like kindergarten. They have to pay for those ones, for nannies, for like insurances, childcare, etc., etc. I mean, I know people like that are making like 15,000 a month, but they're having like 2 kids. It's still not enough.
How much are you paying for rent here in Singapore?
1,300, for a room.
How long have you been paying for this rent, by the way?
I just moved last year. When I was 6 months.
Now, which area is that?
Tiong Bahru.
How much are you paying for rent here in Singapore?
Nearly 4k.
Which location is that?
Tampines, before it was 3k. Last 2 years back, it's increased.
How much is the expenses living as an expat here in Singapore?
School fees around 1,300 per kid.
How much are you paying for rent in Singapore?
3k.
Which location is that?
Bedok North.
Before COVID, how much was it, by the way?
It was 1,006.
How much is your expenses living as an expat?
You know, the child is around 4,500.
I spent $6,902 1 month living in Singapore, and this is exactly how I spent it. First, concerning my home expenses, I spent $1,481, including my rent, which is $1,250. We are living in a 2-bedroom condo with my boyfriend and a friend. The cost for the 2-bedroom is actually 4.2k per month, but my flatmate is paying a part of it, all included with bills and everything. And we are sharing the master bedroom with my boyfriend, so the price of the master bedroom is around 2.5k per month. We are just doing 50-50, and then for the rest concerning the bills, internet and aircon, we are sharing also 50-50. So for the month of February, our bills were $154. So I pay $78 from my pocket, and then internet we are paying $40 and I pay $20. Aircon maintenance is something that you have to do every 3 months in Singapore, so we are just putting some money aside every month to go towards that. So that was $15 for this month. And then we have a cleaning lady that is coming every 2 weeks. For the month of February, I paid $118 for the cleaning lady. I'm gonna do this video in different parts, so if you want to see my food expenses for the month of February, just go to the next video.
Singapore seems like a good place to live. What do you think? Comment down below.
Hi sir, may I ask how much are you paying for rent in Singapore?
10K.
And where do you stay?
Bukit Timah.
Oh my god. Okay, that's quite a lot.
We have a great landlord, but it's a lot of money.
Hi ma'am, how much do you pay for rent in Singapore?
2005.
And where do you stay?
Harbourfront.
How much are you paying for rent here in Singapore?
I'm paying around 4,000.
Which area is that?
I'm staying in a Kembangan area.
Kembangan
which is,
area.
near to the Bedok.
What do you think about the cost of living in Singapore? Getting higher, but I think it's the same everywhere around the world.
Cost of living is definitely going up. I think my wallet and bank account both want to cry already.
I think things are getting pretty expensive, especially for the younger generation. Entry-level job, they pay more than last time, but in terms of like expenses, the increase is much steeper compared to previously.
I also feel like for the younger generation, especially us actually, sandwich generation, is very high because of the inflation and everything.
Yeah, it's getting higher, especially my food. I felt it in the last 2 years actually. Yeah, my Thai fund now is like 650, but otherwise for me it's still manageable. Yeah, I just have to budget my expenses a little bit better.
I think it's still manageable if you can still live within your means lah. And then like finding cheaper sources of food or groceries lah.
I think the price control in Singapore is still quite okay. We still have hawker centers available as a cheaper food alternative. It's still quite okay aside from purchase of property or that it's increasing a bit faster than what people expect.
Now you can earn more from your credit card, savings account, etc. Join my Telegram group and more than 20,000 people have already joined.
Hi all! I would like to share with you the cost of living comfortably in Singapore in 2024. Yang pertama adalah rent, yaitu $1,000. Ini adalah pengeluaran paling besar. Jadi kalau kalian punya rumah di Singapura atau tinggal sama saudara kalian secara gratis, kalian harus banget bersyukur. Karena saving kalian bisa nambah $1,000. Aku sewa satu kamar HDB bersama landlord. So far, aku lebih suka tinggal bareng sama landlord dibandingkan co-living. Karena biasanya mereka lebih merhatiin kebersihan. Tapi cons-nya adalah lebih banyak aturan sih biasanya. Yang kedua adalah weekend food. Di sini aku allocate $100 dikali 4 weekend, jadi $400. Karena gue foodie dan juga suka ekspor makanan, jadi alokasi budget gue buat makan emang lumayan cukup besar. $100 per weekend ini bisa dipakai buat 2-3 kali makan di restoran atau di cafe. Lanjut weekday food, gue allocate $12 dikali 23 hari, jadi sekitar $275. $12 per hari ini bisa buat makan di hawker 2 kali. Misalnya beli chicken rice, chai fan, fishball noodle, atau kalau misalnya mau makan sehat bisa beli untuk 1 kali makan. Next adalah grocery, gue allocate $150. Jadi selain gue foodie, gue juga anak supermarket dan suka banget jalan-jalan lihat ke supermarket. Kalau kalian cuma beli sabun shampoo doang, harusnya $50 aja cukup sih per bulan. Next adalah transport sebesar $100. Ini cuma cukup untuk cover transportasi publik ya, yaitu bus dan MRT yang konteksnya setiap hari gue kerja di kantor. Next adalah mobile data sebesar $10. Pakai provider namanya Simba. Udah dapat kuota 50 GB buat 5G, telepon 300 menit, dan 1 GB roaming misalnya kalau kalian mau ke JB. Next adalah olahraga, gue pakai ClassPass dan Sweat App dengan harga sebesar $150. Ini optional ya, tapi karena gue memang orangnya aktif dan suka olahraga, jadi gue selalu taruh budget ke sini setiap bulannya. Dengan budget ini, gue bisa kelas olahraga di ClassPass seminggu 2 kali, atau home workout sendiri pakai aplikasi Sweat App. Next adalah health insurance sebesar $150. Gue beli asuransi kesehatan lagi karena biaya kesehatan di sini tuh lumayan mahal. Jadi kalau amit-amit terjadi sesuatu, asuransinya tetap masih bisa cover dan nggak mengganggu savingnya. Nah jadi totalnya adalah $2.235 atau sekitar 26.800.000. Mahal atau enggak, ini sebenarnya subjektif banget, tergantung dari lifestyle dan income dari kalian. Tapi semoga ini bisa jadi referensi buat kalian yang mau pindah kerja atau kuliah di Singapura. Feel free to ask any questions about living in Singapore in the comment section. See you in the next video.
Okay, so I finally have time to share more about
how much it costs for me to move out of my parents' place and to live on my own. So it's two of us flat sharing this entire space. So we kind of, we share everything, we divide everything by half. Rental is $1,250 every month. Although when the lease renews in May, it will rise to $1,700 every month. For utilities, it kind of varies every month depending on whether both of us are traveling, one of us are traveling, but on average, I would safely set aside about $100 on my part for utilities. Thirdly, there is aircon servicing every 3 months, and that costs us about $100 each time because we have 3 units. So if you break it down, that's about like $33 per month for aircon servicing. Lastly, for groceries, I usually set aside just about $15 every month. The reason is because I don't cook that much at home. In fact, I don't cook at all, almost at all. And the only things that I need to buy are like tissue papers, toilet rolls, some soaps, some bug spray. But yeah, so all in all, I would say they add up to about $1,400 a month, and that's how much I spend. I will say that for anyone who is interested in moving out, there are some additional costs that you might want to bear in mind as well. The first thing is when you move, you are likely going to need to set aside money for a deposit, and that's usually about a month's worth of rent. Second, you might also need to prepare a month of rental in advance that you need to give it to the head tenant or the landlord, sort of like an advance payment to secure your interest in renting their place. You will also need to set aside moving costs. For me, I spent about maybe $200 each time I want to move because I have all of my own stuff. Like I have my own bed frame, things and boxes of like clothing and shoes, bags that I want to move. Lastly is I preempt myself for some stuff breaking down along the way, but these things don't happen monthly and they don't even happen like every few months. These could be things like my vacuum cleaner, or maybe the fridge needs servicing, or my heater. For people who follow me on Instagram, they know that like I had issues with my heater, but once a year I just set aside like $100, $150 for in case anything breaks down, which sometimes it does. So those are all the costs, and maybe in my next video I'll talk a bit more about what to look out for when you're looking for a place to rent.
I would like to go there someday. It does seem like the cost of living is high there. Hope you enjoy this video. Until next time, bye.